a $2,400 increase, and $1,200 ongoing monthly checks as it pertains to the low-income and fixed-income beneficiaries of Social Security retirement, disability, SSDI, survivors, spousal, SSI, VA, and RRB. I have all the details for you here in the video. Let's get right into it. All right, now if you've been watching the videos here on the channel for a while now, you've certainly heard about all of these different plans, proposals, concepts, ideas, legislation, bills, and all of these other plans that are out there to raise benefits for Social Security, adjust the program, reform the benefits, all kinds of things like this, as well as all of these other programs, including Guaranteed Basic Income, GBI programs across the entire country, which are distributing no strings attached payments for millions of people that have been going all over the place for the last few years here. In fact, just a handful of years ago, guaranteed basic income programs in this country were not even really a thing. Back in 2019 in Stockton, California, the very first guaranteed basic income program started, and ever since then, especially during 2020, 2021, 2022, years like that, when states had $350 billion at their disposal and they had no idea what to do with it, they implemented tons and tons of these programs. Well, then, around that same time as well, we saw on the national level them introducing legislation to do the exact same thing, implementing an ongoing guaranteed basic income program on the national level at a pace of $1,200 ongoing monthly checks for people. Okay, sounds super awesome. Looks like a lot of different programs out there throwing money all over the place like it's going out of style. Sounds fun to me, right? How do we sign up? That's what I want to know, and everybody else wants to know the same thing. How do we sign up? Where do we apply? And how do we start getting these payments? Well, these are really good questions, okay? I want to focus on these really quickly because it's kind of interesting because as a fixed income beneficiary, you're already getting ongoing monthly payments. Not saying that they're enough, not saying that the checks are large enough, not saying that it's easy financially, but that's kind of one of the big questions that's out there is, hey, if I'm already receiving an ongoing monthly check from Social Security or SSI or SSDI or retirement or VA or RRB benefits or survivors or spousal benefits, does that mean that I'm ineligible? No, doesn't mean that you're ineligible. It actually means that you are eligible and probably even more eligible than other people. But how? How could you possibly be more eligible? It's all income-based. Every single time it is income-based. You probably heard me talk about that before. In fact, if I use a quick example here, from a few years ago when we saw stimulus checks, what was it all based off of? Where you lived in the country? Nope. If you lived in a house or an apartment? Nope. If you drove a car? Nope. Your age? Nope, not a chance. What was it based off of? Your income. It was 100% your income every single time, okay? That is what these programs are always based off of, is how much money do you make, and then based on the parameters that they put in place, the guidelines, the baselines that they have there, then they determine, hey, if your income is below X dollars per month or per year, then you're good. You would be eligible. And that's exactly what I meant by if you're low income or if you're a fixed income beneficiary, you're actually more eligible in most instances for these programs. Now, just because somebody's living on a fixed income does not mean that their income is very low, right? There are some people, not a ton, but there are some people out there that receive a fixed income benefit that also have a ton of income every year aside from their monthly benefit and also get their monthly benefit. They would probably be in a very different situation, but that is a very, very rare group of people. There's not many of them out there. But then also, we also hear about the legislation and the discussion mostly out of Bernie Sanders, who is a huge, huge advocate for expanding Social Security, right? We've heard this so many times before. He wants to expand benefits, raise taxes on higher income individuals, implement the $200 per month raise or the $2,400 per year increase to benefits. And then again, that's another one that's out there. Okay, so the big question coming in is, there's all this stuff going on. There's all these different programs, proposals, plans, whatever you want to call it, that are out there everywhere to implement these raises and adjustments to benefits, things like that. Okay, so let's boil this all down. When are they going to be implemented? If they're going to be implemented, and could you possibly be eligible for all of it simultaneously? Again, very good questions. Okay, let's talk about one thing at a time here before we get way too confused and way too convoluted. Okay, number one, the $2,400 or $2,400 raise for the entire year or $200 per month. Would you potentially be eligible for that? Okay. As the plan sits right now, the Social Security Expansion Act, that's supposed to go out to all beneficiaries. I think it's a cool plan. I don't totally agree with it. Here's why. I think it goes to way too many people. High income beneficiaries shouldn't get that because it's not needed for them, right? I think, in my honest opinion, the $200 per month raise should be mostly focused on low-income people. Anybody receiving about the average benefit or below for their respective benefit, okay? Except for those people that are below the federal poverty line, then they should be getting the automatic $200 every single month, no matter what, right? So it's not necessarily the average. It's basically below the average. This is my opinion, by the way. Below the average, or anybody below the federal poverty line automatically gets the 200. Anyway, that's my opinion about that. Okay, so if they were to do that, could you possibly get it? Well, as I said, the legislation states everybody gets it, okay, in the event that they were to pass it. Okay, so that's number one. Now next, the ongoing monthly benefit checks. And again, fill in the blank with whatever you want here. The guaranteed basic income. Some people call it universal basic income. It's not. It's not universal basic income because it's not for everybody. There's a big difference between UBI and a big difference between GBI. Universal basic income and guaranteed basic income. Universal is all-encompassing, universal, every single person. Guaranteed basic income is just for a highly specified group of people, mostly low-income individuals. Anyway, the one that was introduced on the national level is called the Support Act. And what does it do? It would want to distribute $1,200 ongoing monthly checks for all adults, plus an extra $600 per dependent, basically for 5 years. That's essentially what they'd want to do, okay? Now, that would be really cool. That'd be very expensive. And the income thresholds on that are $75,000 or less, or $150,000 or less as a married couple. Again, let me throw my opinion in here. I think that's way too high. The income thresholds, too high. That's my opinion about that. So I think if they really tamed this thing down and brought the income threshold down to something like maybe 50 or 40 grand a year, I think they'd have a much better situation and a much better argument to get this thing passed. But in its current state right now, I think it's a no-go for most lawmakers. But again, we'll see what happens here. But the point is, okay, long story short here, let's wrap this all up together and see what happens. Okay, so in the event that they were to implement the $2,400 raise or the $200 per month raise to benefits through Social Security, through the Social Security Expansion Act, or some like kind legislation. Okay, could you get that as a fixed income beneficiary? Again, unless they change their parameters, the answer would be simply, yep, that's for basically all beneficiaries. Next, the Support Act, or any legislation of the kind that would implement a nationwide guaranteed basic income program with something along the lines of $1,200 ongoing monthly benefit checks, or something, whatever they would negotiate out at that point. As a low income, or I should say a fixed income beneficiary, could you be eligible for that as well? The answer would be, yeah, for sure, right? Because it's income based, as I mentioned earlier in the video. It's always income based. And as a fixed income beneficiary, generally the vast majority of people fall within the parameters of the income thresholds that they typically put in place. But the big question would be is, could you get both of these simultaneously? And the simple answer to that would be, yeah, you absolutely could, right? So if they were to come together, and if they actually passed both of these simultaneously, or some version of them, some like kind of legislation to either of these that I've talked about here, could you get them simultaneously? Again, yeah, you actually could, right? Why? Why could you get both of them? Wouldn't that be double dipping? No, it's not at all. Here's why. The Social Security Expansion Act and the details within it specifically focus on Social Security and the benefits encompassed by Social Security, okay? That is out of Social Security they'd be paying for it, the trust fund, things like that, okay? Social Security payroll taxes, the Social Security trust fund, that is where the money would come from and would go specifically to those beneficiaries. Now, the Support Act, the example of this legislation that I'm talking about here, and again, it could be a brand new piece of legislation, it could be the Support Act refined, revised, whatever happens to it. My point is, something like that. That is totally different. That's not out of the Social Security Trust Fund. It is not funded by Social Security payroll taxes. It's funded by general federal funds, and it would be very similar to stimulus checks. Now, let me ask you really quickly. A few years ago, when we got stimulus checks, were you eligible as a fixed income beneficiary to get the 3 stimulus checks that we received? The $1,200, the $600, and the $1,400? Absolutely, you were. Unless some very rare instances where maybe some very select few people were not able to get it. But the mass majority of people, absolutely 100% were able to get it because that's how it was designed. Totally different things, okay? We've got a lot of moving parts here. And again, these are just on the national level that are out there. I'll continue to keep you posted with everything else out there on the on the state level, the domestic level, if whatever, you know what I'm saying. But there's so many different programs that are out there, and again, we've had lawmakers that have come forward publicly saying, hey, we need to get a guaranteed basic income program established on the national level before it is too late, because at some point, guess what's going to happen? We're going to be completely overrun by AI, sophisticated technology, robotics, automation, things like that. It's going to happen. I mean, here's the thing. We might think, oh, no, we won't. We will. 100% we will. When is it going to happen? I don't know. I have no clue. Could it happen in 5 years? I would say it's certainly going to be implemented on a pretty wide scale within 5 years. And I think within 10, I mean, we're looking at like full automation and like a lot of people out of work and jobs and stuff like that because of the automation, the AI, the sophisticated computers, the robotics, stuff like that. It'll be absolutely implemented on a very wide scale in not that many years. So we've had lawmakers coming out and suggesting we've got to get this stuff in place, the infrastructure in place now, so that when it happens, it's there. We just have to literally push a button and people have an income floor, essentially, that they can lean back on, essentially through a guaranteed basic income program on the national level, if that makes sense, right? Anyway, a lot of moving parts here. I know I'm kind of all over the place here in this video, but there's just a lot to talk about. I mean, seriously, there's so many things that are going on. It's such a weird time. And if we would have rewind the clock here, say, I don't know, 10 years, were we talking about any of this stuff? No, none of this was even a thing 10 years ago, right? A lot has changed, and it will continue to change over the coming days, weeks, months, and years. I'll keep you posted. Anyway, if I can ask a huge, huge favor of you, number one, please subscribe to the channel. It is 100% free to do so. Thank you so much for your support. There's a big subscribe button right down below. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Otherwise, if you can think of one or two people that benefit from this information in this video or any of the other thousands of videos on the channel, please feel free to share this video. There's a share button right down below as well. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Otherwise, check out the well over 5,000 videos here on the channel in the video library. The popular videos I've hand selected for you down below in the description or the top of the comment section. And right now showing up on your screen as well, you'll see some videos there. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. And again, I just want to do whatever I possibly can to help you out right now, better understand the situation, and again, clarify everything that's going on right now. It is such a weird time. Anyway, I'm here for you. Please have a nice day. I hope I can see you again soon in the next video. Take your selection now. Otherwise, just enjoy, and I'll see you again later.